What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 10-7 MMA show. We are back with our Friday show. I think we're about 1 minute late, but that's not too bad. But we got some new updates. Justin got a new mic. Can you see if you can show it to him? Show it to
Dude, I got this badass mic Huzaifa just sent me, man. The HyperX. Tell me how it sounds, guys.
Hopefully it sounded good. It sounded we're leveling up as we continue to grow.
Camera looks the quality looks pretty good as well.
Yep, exactly. And also in other quick news, as people kind of start to join in.
Wait a second. Do you want to see what every girl on Instagram looks like? Watch this. Oh, did that change my appearance at all? Oh yeah, you see my face? I don't have any blemishes now. Now I'm perfect. I'm every girl on Instagram.
I didn't even know
you
could
touch up my appearance. So this is on. Oh wait, no, this is it. Let's do this. Very strong. How about now?
I guess. Yeah, a little bit. I don't know.
You see on my face how there's like you can see the line, but I don't like it.
It's so creepy. I hate when people do that.
I hate it too. All right, go ahead.
So in other exciting news, our channel, we now passed 1,700 subs. We're at 1,715 actually. And I made a video. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, I made a video last night about the MMA guru 10-7ing Ariel Helwani. That's obviously the name of our channel. Ariel Helwani is the reason why we created the name, because he always talks about 10-7ing his opponents. Well, I feel like that was finally done to him via MMA Guru. So make sure to check that out. I actually sent it to MMA Guru, and I'm waiting to hear back in terms of what he thinks of the video and my take on his beef with Ariel. But anyways, Western says, wow, so handsome. So you're looking great there, Justin.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that's it. We are excited. Make sure to keep checking out our content. We're producing stuff on a daily basis. Sometimes I think on Monday or Tuesday we made like 4 videos or 3 videos that day, but things are growing, things are trucking. And we're very, very excited. Okay, let's get into the mix right off the bat. We got a lot of big things to talk about. There were major fight announcements this week. I made an impromptu video, I think on Wednesday or something, when a lot of these fights were announced, but I haven't had a chance to talk to Justin about it. So let's get in first. We can argue that the thing I'm going to bring up first is the biggest news, although I might also argue that the Ian Garry versus Carlos Prates fight after Jeff Neal pulled out might also be some of the biggest news here. But we're going to start off at the top with the first title fight that was announced. Sean O'Malley versus Justin's boy Merab. I know, Justin, you're cool with Sean as well, as he always comes to the Fusion Fight League events, and him and Tim Welch are super respectful. Very respectful. It's always they always get a big pop when they come to the events. But Justin, first thoughts. What are your thoughts of this announcement of the rematch?
Yeah, I think Sean's well deserving, man. He's beaten some great guys in the division. He was a champion, for a brief stint until he faced Merab. From my understanding, he was facing some injuries going into this fight. I've been doing actually a lot of homework on Sean lately. It's on public about the things he's changed in his life. No social media, sleeping better, training, different styles of training, taking care of his diet better, taking this fight serious. Being uninjured is a big one too. And we're not sure how serious the injury was going in. I mean, everybody always talks about their injuries that they're dealing with, that they're battling with, during fight camp. And I mean, so that's not uncommon. But to see Sean, being away from social media, he's not playing video games anymore. This is a great test for all. I mean, this is a great experiment, guys, because if Sean goes in there and, and has done everything that he said he's going to do, again, taking off social media, taking out of video games, taking out these distractions. I guess he's playing a lot more Texas Hold'em poker, which is very strange because I'm a big Texas Hold'em player. I play, I'm up to 20 hours a week, part-time for a passive income. I think I'm pretty good. I'd like to challenge Sean when we go to Great Falls this weekend, because he's a Great Falls guy. There's a good chance we'll see him there. I'd love to challenge him to a game. But regardless of that, man, this is a great test for fighters right now. It's like, hey, Sean didn't have a great showing against Merab the first time. These are the things he changed in his fight camp. And if it goes well and he puts on a good performance, this is going to be a thing that a lot of fighters might start doing, getting away from social media. One of my biggest things when I was in the UFC is I was so distracted by social media, man. Even when I was in the back warming up, because you're getting nonstop messages, whether it's hate, whether it's I had guys like 30 minutes before I fight, I'm warming up and I'm answering texts to people I went to high school with. Hey man, what time's your fight coming on? And I'm going through answering. And I personally believe that I probably distracted myself, in those moments instead of focusing on the task at hand. I'm getting ready to fight in the UFC and I'm answering text messages from people I haven't talked to in 15 years. That was kind of BS. why are you hitting me up 15 minutes before? Look on social media, Google search it. Why are you messaging me directly? And I felt that I probably did distract myself with that. And to see someone like Sean O'Malley being the top of the division, being the top of the UFC, talking about these things and these distractions, I think it's great. Now, if he goes in there and has a terrible and shitty performance, unfortunately, Sean O'Malley is going to lose a lot of credibility, and it's going to be a long time before he gets a title shot again.
He's not, but I don't like, will he win or lose? That's always the question, right? And it's a fight. And I think it's a very evenly matched fight. But I think he's going to have a good performance. We'll see how it all unfolds. I feel like the UFC kind of wants him to win. But one of the things that going back to, again, the preparation, I feel like Sean and Tim, if you look at them as a team, they're one of the most intelligent teams together, because they do everything. They try to do everything right. That's what it appears to be. You've seen I don't know if you've seen the video on Sean's daily routine. He does red light therapy every day. He does cryotherapy. He maximizes his sleep. He's trying to cross every T, dot every I, and just be in picture perfect shape. Now he's upping the level again by removing these other distractions. So I am really, really excited. I know you're probably going to pick Merab. I know you train with Merab. I know you have the utmost respect for Merab. I have a ton of respect for Merab too, but I'm going to pick Sean O'Malley in this fight. I think he's going to retool himself in a way. Plus the last fight was pretty close. I think he's going to retool himself in a way where he's just going to be out the gates amazing. Now, there's a couple of things I want to ask you about, Justin, in terms of his injury. But first, Carlos Flores threw out this comment. I was going to talk about this later, but I'm going to talk about it right now since he said this. He said, hey, I agree it's a good experiment, but to say he is well deserving, I don't know about that. Let's talk about this. A lot of people have been very upset with this fight announcement, and I couldn't disagree more that I think it's a great matchup, and I think it's the right pick for the title, and I'm going to prove it right now. So let's look at the rankings. We've got Merab at the top. Who cares about Sean being number one? Let's not even talk about that. Who else can we have him fight? So people are saying, oh, we don't want to see this. It's not deserving. Okay, well, tell me who. Should it be Umar? Umar just had the shot and he lost. Should it be Petr Yan? He's already fought Petr Yan, just like he's already fought Sean O'Malley. So why should Petr Yan necessarily be above Sean O'Malley? I don't see why that makes sense. I think Petr is he did win his last fight. Let me double check. Did Petr Yan win his last? Do you remember who he fought?
I believe so. I believe he's on a 1-fight win streak.
So
I made a video about this a couple months ago, and I'm sticking to my guns on this.
That you want, he beat Davison Figueiredo. What you're sticking to your guns on? What, that you want Sean O'Malley?
Scroll down. Period. Right there. Mauro Batista. Why did he drop down numbers 10? Did he lose a fight?
I'm not sure. Let me look.
Can you look it up real quick? Because from my understanding, when I made this video a couple months ago, he was the only guy in the division that was on a win streak. He was ranked number 7. So to see him just drop to number 10, it looks like he may have taken a loss.
No, he didn't. Wait, you're right. Holy
that's weird. I thought Mario Batista, he's on a good win streak right now. Henry Cejudo's coming off loss. Rob Front's coming off loss. Barrero's coming off loss. Song Dalong coming off loss. And maybe these guys, I think Petr Yan's on a 1-fight win streak. In my opinion, and in my video, Mario Batista, he is on a win streak right now, and you can look it up right now as you're looking. I thought he was the most deserving, being ranked number 7th. I mean, he was down in the racing rankings, but again, Figueiredo was coming off a loss. Song Yadong might have been on a 1-fight win streak. Again, the video I made was a couple months ago, so things may have changed. But at the time that I made the video, Mario Batista, in my opinion, was the only one deserving. It was fresh blood. It was a matchup that hasn't happened, and for whatever reason, he's dropped to number 10 right now. I'm not sure how Henry Cejudo got placed ahead of him, but he is. But again, Mario Batista, what's his win streak right now? Like 4 fights?
No, it's more. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 fight.
I mean, come on. We're talking about a guy that's on a 7-fight win streak. He was ranked 7th just recently, and now he's dropped to number 10. He's the only one in the top 10 in this division that has any credible win streak right now. And like I said, I think Yadong might be on a 1-fight losing streak or a 1-fight win streak. But when I looked at it at the time, and again, I don't follow the bantamweight religiously. I don't look up their rankings all the time. I don't look up their records all the time. But the time that I made this video, I mean, he was on a 6 or 7-fight win streak at that time. He's on a 7-fight win streak now. It's a fresh matchup. Throw Mario Batista in there in the top 5. Get him on an 8-fight win streak and give this guy a title shot.
Okay, fair enough. That being said, right now, currently, are you losing your mind that Sean O'Malley got the title shot? Do you feel like it should have been Petr Yan? Because that's the only guy I can think of. Corey Sandhagen had a loss recently too. He's the only guy I can think of. But fine, between Petr Yan and Sean O'Malley, I don't have a problem with him fighting Sean O'Malley. And I feel like this fight is more interesting from the perspective of Sean had the torn labrum, which is that cartilage in your shoulder area. He had surgery, and that has now been repaired. So I think this is the fight that makes the most sense. What do you think?
I think it's the fight that makes sense for the UFC. Sean has tremendous star power, especially over Peter Yan. I think Peter Yan is the better fighter. I couldn't believe that he beat Sean O'Malley. It was a very close fight. Peter Yan is a gangster. But with that being said, he doesn't have the star power that Sean O'Malley does. The UFC wants Sean O'Malley as their champion. You look at him. Look at the way he does his hair. Look at the way he walks. Look at the way he dresses. Look at the way he talks. He attracts fans. He attracts new guys, new fans to come in. And let's check out this guy. This guy has purple hair and he looks like a clown. And he wears goofy glasses and he dresses weird and he makes funny videos. That's called star power. And that's why the UFC has given this matchup over Peter Yan.
I agree. Okay, so Carlos did respond. He said, I get the point you guys are making, but what is the rush? Let Merab sit out a bit. Well, Sean and other top contenders fight it up for a definitive You know what? I bet you Merab wants this fight. I'm sure he does because it'll move the needle in terms of pay-per-view buys, which will make more money for him. So I bet if you ask Merab, he would rather Sean fight him than take the chance of him fighting and losing and not getting a title shot. That would be my guess. One other thing that Western said is that he wants to see somebody fight. Are you talking about Merab fight Sandhagen or what's it called? Sean O'Malley fight Sandhagen. Sean O'Malley fighting Sandhagen would be dope. But again, I don't think the UFC is going to play that game. I think they want Sean O'Malley to get back in there and give him a shot to regain the title because it means big business for the UFC. And maybe it's not the perfect way that this should unfold in terms of like a meritocracy, but it's not too far off from purely merit based. I'm totally okay with it. I love it actually.
I'm totally fine with it. I think the UFC is fine with it. Sandhagen versus Merab. Merab is a terrible matchup for Sandhagen. I mean, we're talking about a guy. I just saw a crazy statistic, and I sent it to Huzaifa. 151 takedown attempts in his last 3 or was it last 5 fights? And that's incredible, right? Well, when you look at somebody like Habib Nurmagomedov, who's known for his takedowns, who's known for his wrestling, he's only had 121 takedowns in his whole career. And we're talking about Merab in his last 3. It might have been 5 fights. I sent you the Instagram post about it. But guys, think of the output this guy has. He's a terrible matchup for everybody in the division, including Sean O'Malley, man. And I just don't think right now, until Merab starts lacking in his training, which could happen. We talk about getting to the top and staying at the top. How long is Merab? And we talk about the rush. Like, why are we rushing this? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because, again, guys get injured. Guys get injured in fight camps. Guys get injured in training. We have to get Merab while the iron's hot. The UFC has to strike right now while the iron's hot, while he's not injured, because the longer he waits, the better. And if you guys look at this guy's lifestyle, this guy doesn't sit at home and play video games all day. This guy posts stupid videos. There was something that happened. I can't remember. You would know better than I. Before his last fight, like it's fight week, and Dana White was pissed at Merab because he did something silly that he could have got injured. And I can't remember. Yeah. What was it? Do you remember what he did?
No, well, it wasn't that he did something silly. Maybe there was that too, but he also posted like he injured his eye, and he posted a video of it getting sewed shut. What Dana White was mad about was that the commission could see that injury and then pull the fight. So he's like, he's an idiot. Why is he posting this? And he was upset. I think Merab's done multiple things. I think also Dana White doesn't like him because he wouldn't fight Aljamain Sterling for a while and multiple for whatever reason. Maybe he's growing on Dana White. You never know. But can I throw out one thing, though? I know you did mention, hey, Merab has taken down opponents way more than Habib, and that might be a badge of honor. But I just have to play devil's advocate. The reason probably why Habib's numbers aren't as high is because he finished a lot of guys via ground and pound. So that he just ended fights sooner. I think Merab doesn't have the same type of ground and pound game that Habib had. Just throwing that out there.
I agree with you 100%. Guys get up. When you talk about, Jose Aldo, who he had like, I can't remember. It was like, what was the ridiculous? It was like 50 takedown attempts. Might have been Peter Yan, 50 takedown attempts in 15 minutes. That's insane. And I think when Habib takes guys down, they can't get up, just because it's top pressure and guys are escaping a Merab. With that being said, as soon as they escape, he's reshooting and taking them back down. So that does go. But again, it's just a crazy stat. Even if guys get up 150 takedown attempts in his last 3 fights compared to 121 in your whole career, I just think that's just an incredible statistic. And the strength and the willpower and gas tank you have to do to do that is just incredible.
Now, I want to talk about one other thing. I want to talk about Sean's injury in particular and get your thoughts as a professional fighter, professional athlete, what you think, what impact you think this actually had on Sean O'Malley in that fight. So this is the labrum. It's a ring of cartilage that surrounds the socket of a ball and socket joint, like the shoulder or a hip. I think it wasn't his shoulder labrum, though. I think it was in his hip labrum. So that's what was damaged or torn, and that's what he had repaired. Now, if you do remember the fight, he barely threw any kicks. I think he may have thrown like a handful. I'm guessing this is the reason why. Justin, in your professional opinion, what type of difference do you think this surgery and this healing process is going to make on Sean's performance?
I don't think that Sean threw a lot of kicks just because he was worried about getting the kicks caught and taken down off it. I think that was more of the game plan because, again, with throwing teep kicks, throwing round kicks, Merab is a tough dog. He'll eat those kicks and just to get his takedown. So I think game planning wise, that was one of the reasons. But it could have been the hip. I'm not going to say that was, but it could have been an hip labrum. I mean, Sean didn't look terrible in his fight, but just with that pressure, is it going to make a difference? I mean, it might, but with that, having that adrenaline rush in there, it's like for at least for a round or two, like you're not going to feel that, going on the longer the fight goes, the more you're going to feel that injury. And I'm not going to sit here and say it didn't affect him. I'm not going to say that because it may have could have. With that being said, if you're the UFC champion, you're going against Merab, who is, what kind of pressure he's going to bring. Why are you going into this fight compromised when the output that Merab's going to put on you is just unmatchable? And you got Conor McGregor that's backing out to toe injuries, let alone a labrum injury on your hip going against a grappling, wrestling, heavy wrestler. I just think if that is true, it was a dumb move by him. And as much respect I have for Sean and Tim Welch, man, talk about every time these guys see me, they go out of their way to come over and shake my hand every single time. They don't owe me anything, man. They're superstars in Great Falls. And just the respect they have to me, that somebody that, in my opinion, I don't even deserve that kind of respect. But every time Tim sees me, anytime Sean sees me, he goes out of his way to come say, hey, Justin, how you doing? I mean, we don't have a conversation, but just to come and just acknowledge that I'm there, I think is just so awesome. And, I'm not throwing shade at Tim. I'm not throwing shade at Sean because of how much respect I have for him. But think about from a coaching standpoint, you're the UFC champion. You're going against such a grappling and wrestling heavy guy. Why are you going into this fight compromised more than you have to be?
By the way, Tim Welch also gave me a fist bump at the coffee shop, and that like made my day. I was like, "Oh, snap! He recognized me from the commentating booth." Appreciate that. That was super cool. Okay, wait, we got a bunch of, and I totally get that, and I do think hey, respect to Sean for going in and fighting with that injury, and he still did great. And again, that's the reason why I think he's going to get it done. I know people might find that to be disrespectful to Merab, but that's just what I feel, and that's why I'm going to go with my gut. Now we got a ton of comments, and I want to go through some of these. So MGAL4 Productions is back. He's got a ton of stuff to say. He says, Justin, are you getting that itch to throw some hands again?
Show me the money, man. I get the itch when the money's shown now, man. I talk about, what I fight for, what's my why. And, my why before was to get to the UFC, to show everybody in the world that even a bum like me, if you put in the time and the hard work and persevere through all the downfalls that you can, but I don't have that itch to fight at the highest level anymore. If I thought I had an opportunity to, I'd love to get motivated just to be able to fight on the big screen again. But unfortunately, losing 6 out of my last 7, I'm a shell of my former self, man. And I'm very comfortable with it. I feel going into, working on the 10-7, working in commentary, working on Division I wrestling, talking to Huzaifa, talking to people that I respect. And, and you guys don't understand watching the shows how much respect I have for the guy that's cameraed next to me, man. I call this guy on a daily basis, ask him about my life, ask him for life tips. And dude, he's really encouraged me to be comfortable putting the gloves down. With that being said, show me the money and I'll fight anybody in the world.
All right. And we got a couple more comments. Johnny Monday says, what's up, boys? I'm late and just tuning in. And then he also says, my prediction is Sean by knockout. He's too talented. So this is basically my take exactly. He's too talented and smart to make the same mistakes the second time. He was timid in the first fight, but will come out swinging. And again, timid, or was he gun shy? Well, I guess you could say timid, but because of the injury. And I know maybe sometimes I give too much weight to these injuries that are discussed, but I just, like, to me, I can't even imagine. I was telling Justin earlier, we have sparring on Fridays in my gym. I haven't made it in the last couple of weeks, and I went in today, and I can't even imagine sparring compromised or injured like that. But like going into a full-on fight when you have such a major injury, I just can't imagine that not having a severe impact on a fighter. But let's see what happens. And I agree with you, Johnny. That's why I'm going to pick him as well. MGAL4 Productions says Merab is the GOAT of bantamweight. I think, Justin, you've made a video saying exactly that. So this is going to be a great fight regardless. And people need to stop complaining. The only one reasonable complaint you could make is Piotr Jan, maybe to like throw him in there, but I get it. Like you have to also understand the business perspective and the business rationale for why the UFC wants this fight instead of Piotr Jan. While Piotr Jan's a former champion, he's a legend. He's just nowhere. He's not in the same category. Sean O'Malley is one of the few superstars in the UFC that has transcended the UFC and MMA. Him, you could argue Alex Pereira right now. Izzy, there's a few of those guys. There's a handful of those guys, and he's one of them. They got to get him back in there, and I think it makes sense. Okay, we're going to move on to topic number 2. I know Justin has a hard stop, I believe, at 2:05, so we're going to keep it rolling. We got another major fight announcement that we're going to react to. And I think MGAL4 Productions said earlier that he thinks Kayla Harrison is going to get the job done in one of his comments. But anyways, let's talk about it, Justin. What do you think about this matchup, Julianna Peña, the current champ, against Kayla Harrison?
Julia Peña, to me, is the most underwhelming champion in the female division. I don't know how she continues to win fights, especially at the highest level. Kayla Harrison's a different animal. I have had the pleasure of watching her live in the PFL several times. I coached Elena Kolesnik. That was in the PFL tournament that's with her. And I spar with Elena. She's an incredible professional boxer that's transitioned to MMA. She has so much power in her hands. And Kayla Harrison finished her in the first round. I think they fought 2 or 3 times. She's finished her in the first round every time. And I've seen her fight other girls. She fought a girl. There's a girl at my gym, probably my favorite girl fighter right now that nobody's ever heard of. Her name's Taylor Gordado. I want to clip this because we're talking about this girl is so freaking tough. She fought in the PFL. She fought in the tournament final against Kayla Harrison. And I'll be honest, and I'm humble enough to say, you know what? And you guys can get caught. You guys can get upset at me for saying this. I know the guys won't, but the girls might. There's no girl in the world that can beat me in wrestling. There is, and I'll reiterate that. There's no girl in the world that can beat me in wrestling. And I went and wrestled with Taylor Gordado, and I'm like, all right, it's a girl. I'm going to take it easy on her. And next thing I know, she has my feet flared up in the fucking ceiling. She's slamming me on my head. And I was like, and we get back up, and I'm like, Taylor, you're the first girl to ever take me down. And she goes, and I won't be the last time. And she gets after me and starts beating me up again. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Taylor Gordado is such a stud, and how much respect I have for her on and off the mat. Again, she is my favorite female fighter right now. And just to see what Kayla Harrison did to her, it's nobody's going to beat Kayla Harrison. She's going to be the champion, and she's going to be the champion for a really long time. Now, moving forward, I'm overlooking Julia Peña. This isn't even going to be close. I see Kayla has a minus 800 favorite. I haven't looked at the odds. But I think that she's going to be this. I think she's going to be a huge favorite. With that being said, Kayla lost her last fight in the PFL. And I'll tell you this, that girl in the PFL, I can't think of her name. She has short hair. And
I know you're talking about.
She is a powerhouse, and she beat Kayla Harrison. I think Kayla wins the UFC championship. UFC pays her money, brings her over, and they fight because they fought twice. Kayla beat her once. Yep. She beat Kayla once. Now think about this. Bring her over from the PFL. They have their best of 3 match for the UFC championship. I think that's the route to go. And I'm totally overlooking Julia Peña in this situation. I think Kayla finishes her within 2 rounds.
Dude, Kayla, I just looked at it. She's currently listed as a minus 590 on FanDuel.
What did I say? And I have not looked at that. That's how confident I am in this. Minus 590, almost a 6-1 favorite. Sorry.
But wait. She's minus 725 on my bookie, so even closer to the minus 800.
I mean, for me to say minus 800 just off, and that's my opinion. I haven't looked at a book. I mean, that's why I wasn't right on. Obviously, if I saw and I follow the books. Like, I think Kayla's such a big favorite. Nothing about Julia Peña is impressive to me.
I can't wait for this buildup because all the great thing is Julianna Peña. Like, I get the feeling, and I could be wrong about this, but I get the feeling that this is a fighter that Julianna Peña did not want to fight, and she is maybe worried that Kayla Harrison is going to beat her because Kayla Harrison's just so dominant and powerful. But the good thing about Julianna Peña is she will not back down from a talking match. And she normally talks over everybody and can bully everybody verbally, but not Kayla. Kayla is the one that's like, she's so mentally strong and she's really smart and she's really good on the mic. She's also great because she's just honest. She's unapologetically honest. You know, she's the only fighter that is under Ali Abdelaziz that goes on Ariel's show. Did you know that?
I did not know that, no.
You know why?
I have no idea.
because she says, I'm my own person and I don't care if Ali has a policy. I like Ariel. I want to go on a show, so I'm going to go on a show. Nobody's going to tell me anything else. And she's like, I have the utmost respect for Ali. I love him, but I'm sorry. Like, if I want to go on your show, I'm going to go on your show. Because Ali has a blanket policy that his fighters are not to be interviewed by Ariel. Like, how dope is that? And she's been doing that before she was in the UFC, when she was in the PFL. And she has a relationship with Ariel. And I don't know. I just have massive respect for Kayla all the way around. She is my favorite female fighter ever, even before she was in the UFC, when she was in the PFL. So I can't wait for her to get this title shot and to finally prove herself and show herself. And the other amazing thing is she's doing it at 135. Isn't that crazy? She always fought at 145. She didn't even know if she could do the weight cut for her first fight.
I think that's the only thing that's going to go wrong for Kayla is if she gets really complacent. So, and what I mean by complacent, I'm making weight. Like when I started making 155 as my pro, the first couple times was really hard, but then I just kind of got used to it. So as my career went on, I was like, oh, I'll make 155 no matter what. I've done it 5 or 10 times. But I started slacking in my preparation. Like, oh, I'm going to, you know what? My weight cut for my last fight was easy. I'm going to eat this extra food, or I'm not going to go running today. Because you get complacent, you get comfortable, like, oh, I can do it no matter what, just because you keep doing it and you start cutting corners. And if Kayla Harrison, I know she has a tough cut to 135, and I'm not saying she's going to cut corners, but if she does, she cuts any corners in this weight cut preparation, she might find herself missing weight and missing out on a huge opportunity.
And I feel like there's basically a 0% chance of that happening, because another reason why I like her, she's so professional. She's a gold medalist, I believe, right, in judo. I'm pretty sure she won the gold medal. I mean, like, dude, you can't. She's just unbreakable. A couple comments I want to highlight. MGAL4 Production says she's going to drive her elbow through Peña's skull. Her ground and pound elbows are some of the nastiest elbows you'll ever see. MGAL4 Productions also says Kayla's so strong she will pick Peña up like a pillow. Carlos Flores. Carlos might be a new subscriber. If you are, welcome to the show. Kayla is a monster. No chance she's losing to Julianna. I agree. She's too strong and will force whatever position she wants. Build up will be fun. Build up will be so good. Even though the odds are stacked this way, I just can't wait for this fight. And I do think it would be cool to pull that fighter from the PFL into the UFC. That would be cool. But we know what's really going to go down. If she wins, they're going to bring Amanda Nunes back and they're going to face off. How incredible. Amazing. I love this for the women's MMA, for women's MMA in the UFC. Okay, let's keep it going because I know Jessica got to go soon. The next big announcement that we haven't talked about, Ian Garry versus Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates, fighting nerds guy, was supposed to fight Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal had to pull out. First and foremost, Ian Garry, number 7 in the rankings, just fought Shavkat and lost, and was basically in line, if he would have won that fight, to fight Bilal Muhammad. He's still a huge star in the game, yet he is agreeing to take on, well, let me see what, I can't remember what he is. I'm going to tell you what Carlos Prates is ranked. I believe, I want to say number 10. Hold on, let me double check. Dude, no, he's fighting Carlos Prates at number 13. There is no reason he needs to take this fight. Ian Machado Garry is ranked number 7, and he's a star. He could easily ask for Leon Edwards, for Kamaru Usman, but he's taking on Carlos Prates, and according to Dana White, he wanted to take this fight because he knows that, he believes that Carlos Prates was on like a crazy winning streak right now, is the most dangerous fighter in that division, and that's why he wanted to take the fight. Justin, what are your thoughts on Ian Garry's mindset and willingness to take on this fight?
Bad business decision, man. You're coming off a loss. You lose 2 in a row. You are going to lose so much credibility. Carlos Prates is a stud. He has a lot of star power right now with the whole nerd thing. They have this great gimmick where they wear glasses and, you know, they look like nerds, and I think it's great. Now you're taking 2 up-and-coming stars. You know, Ian Garry just losing to Shavkat by decision. First guy he doesn't finish. Now he's giving Carlos Prates a chance again with incredible chance to be a big star in the UFC. You know, whoever loses this fight, man, is going to lose a lot of credibility. If Ian Garry goes on a 2-fight losing streak, especially losing to a 13th ranked guy, that's going to put him out of the top 10. And, you know, we're not going to be talking about a championship caliber fighter anymore. We're going to be talking about a guy that's trying to make his way back into the top 10 or the top 5. I hate this matchup for the UFC. I hate this matchup for Ian Garry. Hey, hats off to Carlos Prates. This is an incredible opportunity for him, and this is really a chance for him to show his skill. But if he goes in there and finishes Ian Garry or beats Ian Garry decisively, Ian Garry, I mean, at one point, you know, before fighting Shavkat, undefeated. I hated the Shavkat matchup for the same reason. You know, when you got a guy like Ian Garry who's undefeated, losing a fight in a row. Now, if he goes and loses 2 fights in a row, who really cares to watch Ian Garry fight? I'm not going to care to watch him fight anymore because, again, I want to see these guys. And, Ronda Rousey said this best. She said it to a girl that I used to train, Elise Anderson. She said, the most important thing in fighting is maintaining an undefeated record. Ian Garry's not undefeated anymore. If he loses 2 fights in a row, I mean, we're talking about Ian Garry trying to get back to the top 10, back to the top 5, and he's out of title contention.
Okay, see, I thought you were going to say something different. I thought you were going to come out and be like, massive respect. He doesn't need to take this fight. What a gangster. But you don't feel like that.
I mean, yeah, I have respect for him, but it's an ego-based decision. It's not a business decision. This is him saying like, hey, look, I'm still the baddest guy, and he might be. And if he goes in there and beats Carlos, especially decisively, well, guess what? That whole nerd thing, that whole nerd gimmick that everyone loves right now, who cares anymore? Because again, once he loses credibility. He loses to Ian Garry. All right, well, he's not gonna go up in the rankings coming off a loss, and that'd be great for Ian Garry to get right back in there to title contention. But again, it's not a credible win. It's a top 13 guy. It's not a top 10 guy. It's not a top 5 guy. If he wins this fight, is he the next contender for the title? Absolutely not. Very rarely do you beat a guy out of the top 10 and consider yourself up for the title. There's only one, there's only one guy that I can think of that can beat a guy out of the top 10, still get a title shot, and that's Justin Gaethje. When he just fought Fiziev and he beat the guy when he was ranked 11th. And now, we're talking about for a title shot. But that is a rare occasion. That's the only circumstance that I think a guy can beat a guy out of the top 10 and get a title shot next. And if Carlos Prates goes and beat Ian Garry, yeah, he's going to be in the top 10, but he's still going to have to win 1 or 2 more fights for a title shot. Ian Garry goes in and loses this fight. He's 3 wins, maybe even 4 wins away from a title shot.
Okay, last question. I want to get to the next topic before you got to go because I'm really curious to know your thoughts. But real quick, who do you think wins this fight?
Don't know, man. It's too tough to fight. Carlos Prates hasn't fought a guy as tough as Ian Garry. Ian Garry has fought guys as tough as him. Obviously, he just fought Shavkat. And I don't even know who I'd want to win, man. I like Ian Garry as a character. I like him as a fighter. I really like. I'm a fan of Ian Garry. Carlos Prates on the other side, he has a great gimmick, and it's not. And I know it's like a WWE gimmick where he's acting like a nerd and this and that, but it's fun. It's like when I play the Guitar Hero gimmick. Like, dude, I'm not the guitar. I don't play a guitar, but it's fun. And the fans like it, and it's fun. And it's fun to do, and it's fun to talk about. And I have like this WWE character where I wear my guitar and I come out in sunglasses and I act silly and stuff. That's not who I am. And Carlos Prates isn't a nerd, man. He's a tough guy. He's a gangster in and off the fan, but he plays this character that everyone knows is a character, but it's still fun to do, and it's something that the fans enjoy because, again, at the end of the day, we're entertainers. We got to entertain, and just like his nerd gimmick, just like my Guitar Hero gimmick, again, people don't take it seriously. Like, does this guy really think he's a guitar player? Of course not. I don't even play the guitar, man. It's just something fun to do. But again, when your character loses steam and you lose to, loses to Ian Garry, he's still going to be ranked 13th. He's not going to go down in the rankings. Ian Garry is incredible, but this is no high risk, high and low reward for Ian Garry, and this is low risk, high reward for Carlos Prates, man. And with Carlos on this line, is he going to have pressure? Because if he goes in here and loses to Ian Garry, nothing really changes. If Ian Garry goes in to loses to Carlos Prates, a lot is going to change, and I just don't like it, and I just don't see how he's going to be able to get his mentality together to come up here and beat a guy that if he beats him, who cares? Like, it's not going to do much for you, but if you lose, it's going to be detrimental.
Well, I will say, me personally, I am rooting for Ian Garry. I do believe he'll get it done only because I feel like he is motivated really, really strongly to get that title. I think he's smart, and I think he'll put together a good game plan. But that's my thoughts.
You say you think he's smart, but he fought Shavkat, not for the title, but just for championship. Undefeated guy with 18 finishes or 17 finishes. And now he's going to go fight a very dangerous fighter that's not even ranked in the top 10. So when you say he's smart, who's making these decisions? Is he making these decisions ego-based? Is his coaches making this decision? Is his manager making this decision? I think both of these fights for Ian Garry, his last fight and this fight, it's too high of a risk for. I mean, the last fight, high risk, high reward, sure, but this fight is high risk and no reward. Not low reward, no reward.
All right. Well, very, very good points. Real quick, I want to highlight a couple comments and we're going to move on to the next topic. Johnny says, Garry stepping in on short notice has made this card very more interesting. I agree. Garry is the man. Prates is impressive, but I doubt his grit if things go south in the cage. Can he handle being the nail? And then he also says, Huzaifa was expecting Justin to praise Garry like I was expecting. Justin's being tough on him, but fair points. Yeah, I agree. Okay.
I'm an Ian Garry fan, man. I don't want to see him go in there and lose. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't either. I guess we shall find out what goes down, but I thought that was a big announcement and very interesting. Okay, real quick, before we move on and you got to bounce, Bryce Mitchell. My question to you is, are you betting on Bryce Mitchell? And here's why. I made a video earlier this week where I showed an interview of him talking on the On Paper with Anthony Smith podcast, where he basically talked about, number one, he's drilling the same drills over and over to prepare for this John Silva fight. I assume it's takedown, base, grappling, heavy strategy, but he said it's been a very monotonous training camp. But I took that to mean, hey, he's putting what needs to be done over what he wants to do, and that made me feel confident in him. Number two, he believes that he is fated to win, that this is like a straight up spiritual battle, a spiritual war, that he must try his absolute hardest for his Lord and Savior. He's got to get the job done. Number two. Number three, he believes he's seeing signs from God that are predicting and foreseeing his victory. So all of these things, and I know the mind is a strong thing. I think like with all these things, it's making me believe that he has got the strongest conviction out of any fighter to win this fight. And that's why I want to put money on him at plus 295. What are your thoughts? Do you think I'm crazy?
I don't think you're crazy. I mean, it's great. He's a great underdog bet. But I mean, he's fighting for the wrong reasons. And whoever's watching the show, and please don't take my agnostic atheist viewpoint personal by any means. I respect all religions. I respect all beliefs. But when you're fighting for, a religious belief, I think you're fighting for the wrong reasons. And, for him to say that he's fighting demons and, Gene is, sending women to him in his sleep. And it's just asinine to me. And I think it's ridiculous. And, I just don't think he's fighting for the right reasons. And again, I respect Bryce. I think he's a great fighter. He would whoop my ass in any aspect of the fight. But when people start talking about religion and saying they're going to win this fight because God said they're going to, I think they're delusional. And again, I respect him for his Christian beliefs. And I respect everybody for any beliefs they had. I have no shade to throw at anybody. And I want to make that clear. Just because I believe something doesn't mean everyone else has to. But when you start talking about demons and crazy stuff that, this guy's a demon and he's sending him demonic things in his sleep, it makes me think that he's not very intelligent and he's fighting for the wrong reasons.
Izzy Slots is asking, if Bryce wins, will you convert to Christianity?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, I get all that. By the way, I do know that Bryce Mitchell was training at Extreme Couture. I know you have to go soon, but real quick, when he was training, is there anything that you saw, without giving anything away, obviously, but was there anything that you saw where you're like, man, he's looking good, he's looking sharp, anything like that?
No, I mean, he's a great fighter. Don't get me wrong. And I liked his attitude, the little bit that I'd seen with him. He's always smiling. I mean, people love to be around him because he's so positive and regardless of his flat earth theory or all the stuff that he talks about that I don't agree with. Hitler was a good guy. And before he was on meth, like he says some controversial stuff, man. And I don't agree with anything he talks about. Just like Sean Strickland, I have a lot of respect for Sean, but I don't agree with the things he says, regardless whether I agree with what he says or not. The guy, he comes in, he's smiling, he brings positive energy to the room. From my understanding is I was talking to Colby Farr, one of the guys that's up and coming at the gym, praised him for how great he is and how generous he is. And man, when I hear things like that, man, how can you not like the guy? Regardless do I believe in his flat earth? No. Do I agree with his religious beliefs? Absolutely not. But that's okay. I don't have to do that. Anybody that comes into the gym, I don't care if they're Jewish, if they're Catholic, if they're Christian, if you bring positive energy to the gym, I like you and I respect you. And again, Noad Lahat, or Neo, we call him. He's he's Jewish. He's one of my best friends in the gym. And anytime I would work with him, man, he's hard he has to grow on you after a while. But once you break through that tough exterior skin, dude, he's one of the nicest and most generous guys you could ever meet. And regardless of your religious beliefs or political views, if you're going to come into Extreme Couture and bring positive energy to not only your training partners, but to the gym and as a whole, I respect you and I want nothing the best for you. I mean, I'm not invested emotionally in this fight, so I don't really care if Bryce wins or loses. But man, he's a great guy, man. He seems like a great guy. And as long as he's spreading positivity on and off the mat, I support him.
All right, Johnny Monday says Bryce will maul this guy. Silva barks like a dog, but Bryce has the dog in him when he's in the cage. And he also says, I think he's it's the same thing. He says, as that dog in him once the cage door shuts. All right, Justin, do you have time real quick for the final topic?
Yep,
Brandon Royval versus Manel Kape was just announced. What an amazing fight, because a lot of people thought Manel Kape was going to get the next title shot at 125, which is what I was in favor for, because Manel Kape is a very exciting fighter. His style of fighting is fun to watch, and he's a gangster on the mic. Like, he talks a ton of smack. I just think that's what the flyweight division needs. You need somebody like him. Now, unfortunately, that fight was not announced. He's instead fighting Brandon Royval, but I'm sure what this means is if he gets the victory over Royval, title shot for sure, 100%. Justin, how do you see this fight going? I don't know if I know you're not as familiar usually with the flyweight division, but do you have a take on how this might unfold?
Love Manel Kape. I think he's great for the division. I think he's great for the UFC. His trash talk is on point. He's super tough in all aspects of the gym. I don't know much about Royval, so I can't go against Kape. I'm taking Kape for the win.
-198 are the odds for Manel Kape. Let's go. This could be huge for the flyweight division, and maybe we'll have Lance Regenbald one day debut in the UFC at flyweight, and he'll definitely bring excitement back to that division. That's a Future Fight League guy. But anyways, all right, that's it, guys, for today's show. Make sure to click that like button if you did like this video. Make sure to check out all the videos that we released earlier this week. I'll probably drop another one later today as well. But thank you guys so much for joining. We appreciate all the subs, all the growth, all the engagement, and we will see you guys next time. Take it easy.
Also, let me know how the new camera and the microphone sounded and looked in the comments. Please let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and we will see you guys next time. Take it easy.